Today, Beaker and I will cover the basics of loose leash walking. It's a bit more complex than tricks like spin, twirl, lay down. So be sure to be patient and kind with your dog and yourself as we go through this lesson.
Before you start training, make sure you know what exactly you want from your dog. First, ask yourself why you're taking your dog for walks. For many adult dogs, walking at human speed is like escorting grandma across the street. Unless you're going on especially long hikes, walks aren't great physical exercise. However, seeing, hearing, and especially smelling the great outdoors is a fantastic way to meet your dog's mental and social needs. If our goal is a happier, calmer companion, we need to let them look around and sniff as long as it's safe and appropriate to do so. All right, let's start training. Grab some treats and put on your front clipping harness and leash. Set your dog up for success by starting in your house or backyard. Start walking, randomly switch directions, and stop frequently to keep your dog guessing. At the start, reward your dog for anything and everything you like. Did he look at you? Reward. Did he stop when you stopped? Reward. If he hits the end of his leash, call his name or make funny sounds to prompt him to turn back to you. When he does, reward. To make this extra effective, tap the side of your leg with the treat before feeding it to your dog. This will make it more likely that your dog will hang out by your side instead of in front of you. Keep practice sessions between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. Repeat once or twice a day until your dog is confidently walking and stopping with you. Now your dog is ready to take this show on the road. Well, this could just be a single step out your front door. Once your dog leaves the house, the primary reward becomes being allowed to move forward. Think about why your dog is pulling in the first place. It's because he wants to get somewhere faster than you can walk. If you let him move forward, the pulling is reinforced. Fortunately, your dog now knows there's an alternative way to get to where he wants to go. When you first start, you might need to remind him with high-value treats like little bits of meat or cheese. Reward before he hits the end of his leash. Your goal is to get as many steps forward as possible before he pulls. When he does, turn around, go back to the beginning, and try again. If he's really struggling, give him treats one after another as fast as you can right as you begin opening the door. When you're just starting out, you'll find yourself walking back and forth over the same area a lot. As you progress, you'll get farther and farther away from your door. Pick the least busy times of day to make it easier. Another option is to drive to areas that aren't likely to have distractions like people, dogs, cars, or whatever else your dog might find distracting. Think of different walking locations like books. I love reading fun sci-fi and fantasy books, but I don't have the focus or desire to get through War and Peace. It's perfectly okay to train just until your dog can walk nicely around the block. Others will have the patience and desire to train their dog to walk in a busy farmer's market or inside a dog-friendly store. Good handlers will consider their individual dog's personality as well. If you have an exceptionally fearful dog, limiting your goal to walking around the block or even just down the driveway may be the kindest thing you can do for your dog. There are absolutely other options for doggy mental and social stimulation. Here's some footage of the first time I walked Beaker in a downtown area. You can see he's very curious and excited. I'm letting him stop and sniff and explore as long as he doesn't pull too hard. After the first pass, I'll walk the same area a few more times so he has more practice minding his manners. I use this breakfast to reward him so that I know he'll be motivated to get the treats. As you can see, he's still much more interested in exploring than food. I typically only give him treats if he pulls hard on his leash and we have to turn around. When he starts walking with me again, I reward him for coming back. I found this eases his frustration and makes him more likely to continue to try and listen to me. Over time, he needs less and less consolation prizes because he's walking nicely and would rather keep moving forward than stop for treats. The other nice thing about using food rewards is that I know if Beaker refuses the treat or spits it out, he's too overwhelmed to continue. This brings us to the final challenge of loose leash walking: distractions. When I first got Beaker, he pulled toward pretty much every moving object: dogs, people, cars, wildlife, etc. Reactivity is a huge topic that I don't have time to fully cover in this video, but I'll share the basics with you. Keep a close eye on your dog while you're walking. How does he carry his ears and tail? How relaxed is his body? If you notice a sudden shift in demeanor, maybe his tail goes up, his shoulders tense, or his brow wrinkles, try to reward your dog before he hits the end of his leash. Then look around and see if you can figure out what triggered the change. As soon as you've identified the source, turn around and walk the other direction. If the source is something you have control over, you can practice at home. When Beaker first started, he couldn't take more than a step outside with a toy, even if it was all the way on the other side of our yard. I've taken many baby steps, walking him closer and closer to his toys until now he can walk right over many of them in a row. Even if it's not the same distraction, practicing with fun toys or tempting treats is a great impulse control exercise for your dog and will translate into better walking when you're out in public. If the source is out of your control, next time you're out walking your dog, try to spot the problem before he does. Keeping as much distance between you and the issue as possible, wait for your dog to notice, and then immediately reward and walk away. Slowly build in a delay before the reward. Start with just half a second. As you train, watch your dog closely for body language clues to help you judge how long you can wait and how close you can get before giving the treat and walking away. Rewarding with food has a calming effect because digestion directly interferes with fight or flight response. Even if your dog hits the end of his leash in the presence of a distraction, always give him a treat if he'll take it. Over time, your dog will associate the formerly overwhelming thing with a sense of calm. It takes a lot of time and patience, but eventually, he'll likely choose walking past the former distraction over accepting treats from you.
Training loose leash walking often takes longer than we'd hope, but the feeling of accomplishment is so worth it, especially when we get to see our dogs enjoy places that they otherwise could never experience.